Hello everyone, and welcome back to STW Sports. I'm host Samuel Wright, and today I'm joined by Bradford City fan Adam Sopf. And Adam, a new League Two season is around the corner, starting in just a few days' time. Obviously, very exciting. I mean, as we were saying just before we went on air, probably the strongest League Two we've seen for a very long time. Some
It
strong teams
definitely
coming up
is.
from the National League, and some pretty strong teams coming down. But looking at the division in general, a lot of fortunes have changed positively for the teams in League Two, which could make it a very strong league, and a lot of transfer activity going on as well. Just before we get into our predictions, me and Adam are going to predict the table from 24th all the way up to first. Obviously, Adam, what's your thoughts on Bradford City going into the new season, though? How optimistic are you for the Bantams?
I was hoping to be more optimistic this time round, but I'm not compared to last season. I think because we changed to five at the back, we don't really have a squad for it, and our three centre backs are quite slow as well. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. And if it doesn't work, then we can't really resort back to the 4-2-3-1. Sorry, because we've got no wingers left pretty much. So it's either five at the back or it fails, and that's it for the season. But we'll wait and see, though.
Absolutely, yeah. So, we're going to start with our table. And if you just want to say your team first, who you think's going to finish bottom of the pile in 24th, and then I'll go after you as well.
Crawley Town, bottom.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think everyone else, to be fair.
yeah, not looking good for Crawley, is it? They've gone from obviously, when I worked in League Two a couple of seasons ago, they were mid-table, quite a solid team, but I know they had a really poor season last year. We're quite fortunate to stay in the league. They remind me a bit of Scunthorpe, actually, the year before they went down in a way. The fact that you just kind of feel like not really much is going right for them at the moment. So, yeah, I think Crawley bottom of the pile is definitely a fair one. And what about joining them in relegation?
Could be a bit controversial, but I've put Sutton United because I think they're quite a small club for League Two anyway, and they've been in there for a couple of seasons now. I think a lot of teams will be stronger than them next season, so I'll put them in 23rd.
Yeah, I think Sutton have done quite well the last few years, but yeah, I do agree they're a club who can easily go down. I've actually gone a bit controversial. I've gone with Walsall, actually.
Oh, really?
And it's a bit of a weird one, this. I don't really know why. I was struggling to put a team in 22nd, and I was torn between these and a couple of others. Yeah. And I just think with Walsall, I don't know, they're just a club who I do think they're a good club. They're in League One till 2019, so I think they're in League One for a little while, but they don't really seem to have much of a direction right now. I could get this wrong. I hope I do. I'm from near Walsall. I like them as a club and stuff, but just when I was looking through my table, they're a team who just aren't really convincing me in the transfer window as well. And they've got a few problems, Walsall. So I'm going to have them to get relegated this season. A bit of a controversial one.
Yeah. Yeah. So 22nd, who've you got?
I've gone Colchester United.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what about yourself?
I've gone for Harrogate Town.
Okay, a lot of people saying Harrogate Town this season to struggle. I think last season they stayed up, but Colchester, another one. Like I remember they beat Tottenham in the League Cup a few years ago, and it's like they're not a bad team in the playoffs. Colchester in 2020 as well, but they've had a real decline the last few years, and again, they're just not really clicking for them. So I'm going to say they'll finish 22nd.
Respectable. I agree with that.
And Harrogate, any reason for Harrogate 22nd?
They've lost. Obviously, Alex Patterson to Bradford City, probably their best player. Scored quite a lot of goals from last season. They haven't really replaced him from what I've seen. But I think they'll just stay up because of the goals from Luke Armstrong. Last season for them was the goals were vital for him. And I think the team is just about good enough to stay up. So,
yeah. And what about 21st place?
Newport County, I've put 21st.
Wow, that's
I mean, it is quite low. They've got Omar Bogle, to be fair, but the rest of them, I know they've lost the fullback, can't remember his name, to MK Dons, who was probably the best player as well. But yeah, Newport 21st. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with obviously with them. I think Newport, they've been knocking on the door in the playoffs for a long time, but the last couple of seasons kind of fallen down to mid-table. I've actually gone Harrogate 21st, FYI. I think Harrogate, again, they're a club who did quite well to stay up last season. I think it'll be another struggling season in the relegation battle, but I do think they'll be all right, Harrogate, to be fair. I think they're they'll just about have enough to get over the line, but it certainly won't be easy for them. And what about 20th?
I've put Morecambe 20th.
Morecambe. Oh, okay. They're going through a tough time
just
right now.
Derek Adams has been quite vocal about the lack of money at the club. They've made a couple of decent signings, to be fair, but I think the lack of money will kind of play a massive part in it because there's some teams in League Two that throw a lot of money around. And Derek Adams, decent manager, but I think probably in the past few years has maybe lost his magic touch a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think obviously with Morecambe, there's a lot of difficulties at the club, and we have seen clubs come down from League One and struggle, and that's what I'm going for in my 20th. I'm going Forest Green Rovers.
Really?
I think that the way they went down from League One was very, like, when you're in a losing habit like they were, I think they ended on about 27 points or something. It was a very low tally for Forest Green, and I think that the fact they ended so badly, I think, in League One, when you're in that losing habit, it's really hard to get out of. Because obviously, I know, to be fair to Forest Green, when they got promoted from League Two, they lost a lot of players and their manager, to be fair. And Rob Edwards is obviously now in the Premier League with Luton. But I think that when you're in a losing habit, it's very difficult to get out of. I don't think they'll go down, Forest Green, but I don't think it's going to be a good first season back. I think this season's going to be a case of get back on your feet in League Two and see what you can do. But yeah, I'm going with them 20th.
I could see that, to be fair, yeah. And then the way they went down wasn't good. They're rock bottom, weren't they? Duncan Ferguson didn't work at all. I'm not sure who they've got in now as a new manager, but I think he was some under 23s coach at some club. I can't remember who it was, but
they brought in an academy manager. Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So it doesn't seem great for him.
Yeah, but what about 19th position?
I've put Crewe 19th.
Okay.
I don't know much about Crewe, to be fair. I just know they're around a similar place last season. I haven't really seen who they've signed, probably because they haven't been of any note, really. So yeah, I put Crewe 19th.
Yeah, I've gone with Sutton United. I think, again, you mentioned about Sutton earlier on struggling. You've had them to get relegated yourself. I think I don't think it'll be as good for Sutton this season. So I'm going to say 19th. I think they'll be all right. They'll stay up, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the last couple of seasons, personally. Yeah, 19th. What about 18th?
Colchester, 18th. I know they've got a bit of money now, but I don't think they've signed players of any note. They're going to lose the fullback. I think it was to Cardiff. I think he was rated very highly. One of the big players last season. He should be leaving. I think all the teams around this sort of area are kind of expecting to just fizzle out towards the end of the season. 18th for Colchester.
Yeah, I've gone controversial. I've gone with Tranmere Rovers, and this is a really controversial one. And I just think there's usually one team in League Two every year who has a really underwhelming season, who you expect to be up there. And I think Tranmere, since coming down from League Two, I think it was in 2020, and they were quite unlucky to come down due to COVID as well. Again, they've not quite really kicked on from that, and I think that I'm going to go Tranmere to be my underachievers in 18th. I don't think they'll be in any relegation trouble. I just think they'll fade out at the end of the season. Yeah, I'm going to say 18th. And what about 17th, moving a bit close to mid-table?
I put Wimbledon 17th. Similar to Colchester, I think Johnny Jackson, as manager, hasn't got a great record anyway from his short career management. I don't think he'll do that well this season. But they have got a few decent players. I don't think they'll be in trouble as well, as you said, with the 18th place. I don't think they'll be in trouble for relegation. But yeah, 17th, Wimbledon.
Yeah, 17th for me, I've gone Barrow, and I feel quite bad for doing this, but I think Barrow really overachieved last season. They had a very good season, didn't they, Barrow? And I think the one thing I've always said about Barrow and Carlisle is I think with where their ground is, it sounds a bit weird, but I've always said it's quite a hard away game for that reason, that I think when you go in that far up north, especially if it's in like the winter and you got teams like going there who are like, bigger clubs, I think they kind of don't really get motivated for that sort of occasion.
Barrow's ground is tiny, isn't it? Have you been to Barrow's ground before?
I have, yeah. I have been to Barrow's ground. Yeah, it's a good stadium. I think it kind of makes Barrow in a way kind of a bit unique, so I like it for that reason. But if you're an away player, it must be very, very different. I think traveling to a ground like that. Yeah, and I actually went to Barrow and reported there for City in New Year's Day. It was in 2022 actually. Crazy. But I'm going to say Barrow will. I mean, I hope I'm wrong because I do like Barrow, but I just think that They really punched above their weight last season. I'm just expecting a bit of a drop off this season. Again, a bit similar to Tranmere. I think they'll start all right and then they'll just fade out a little bit, in my opinion. So, what about 16th?
Put Accrington 16th. Obviously, just come down as well. But I haven't seen any signings of note that they've got. And I think as a club, I don't think they're doing too well money-wise, so I think they belong around 16th next season, yeah.
Oh, we're out of agreement, Adam, for the first time in a little while. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's another ground I've been to Accrington in pre-season, actually. I do like Accrington Stadium, but I think and I think that, again, they've done well to be in League One as long as they have. I think it was only a few years ago. They're actually in a bit of a promotion race in League One, actually.
Yeah, they were.
I think that, they've had a bit of a drop-off, and as you say, financially, it's not going too well for them. I'm going to say 16th is a pretty safe bet. I think a lot of teams who came down from League Two last season really struggled, didn't they? And I'm expecting it to be similar with Accrington, personally.
Yeah. I mean, the gap between League One and League Two now there's not really much of a gap anymore, is there?
No.
You see the teams that come up now do quite well in League One, and the teams that come down do not well at all, especially last season in League Two. So I think it'll be the same again this season.
That's true. What about 15th place?
Forest Green, 15th. I think they'll do okay. I don't think they'll be in trouble for relegation. But as we were saying before about him, they haven't got a great manager in. We might be all right, who knows? But it's not a big name. No signings of note, really. Yeah, that's it pretty much.
Yeah, Morecambe for me. Again, I don't think they'll go down Morecambe, but I do think they'll have a mid-table season. I think Derek Adams, especially with what he did at Morecambe previously when he was in League Two, don't think he'll repeat that trick again, but I think that he'll get them solid mid-table. I don't think Morecambe fans will have much expectation for this season anyway. I think they did well to stay up in League One the first season they were there. They stayed up quite late, didn't they? But I think it was always going to be difficult to stay up a second season. And I think, 15th place. I don't think they'll do any miracles again, but I don't think they'll go down. I think it'll be solid mid-table for them.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, when they went up from League Two, they had a great team. They had Cole Stockton.
They did.
Gomez, and they've all gone pretty much. So,
that's the thing. Stockton was the big one, really. Even in League One, he was banging in the goals.
Mendes Gomez is a great player as well. He was.
He was. Yeah, he was very good. And 14th place? Swindon
Town. I know some people think they'll finish higher this season, but I think it'll be a similar place as last season, to be honest. Is it Michael Flynn there now, I think?
I believe it is, Matt. I think it could be Michael Flynn, actually. Yeah.
Flynn didn't do too well last season at, was it Warsaw?
Warsaw he was at, yeah.
He's normally done all right in League Two, so we'll see.
Very good, yeah.
He's got more of a budget now at Swindon, but I can't see him doing much again this season, really. Who have you got?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got Grimsby Town, actually. I think, again, Grimsby had a very good season, especially in the FA Cup run they had last year. And again, Grimsby kind of came up. They got relegated, obviously, in 2021, came back up the season after, against all the odds, really, from National League, because they finished in the playoffs, but it was quite low down, wasn't it? And then they managed to get there. And then last season, they did quite well in League Two, I thought. And I always think their stadium's quite a tough place to go as well. They're a decent squad, and I think that I'm not expecting them to have a great season, but I think like last season, solid mid-table.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So 13th, I've got Tranmere Rovers. I think with the signing of Christian Dennis as well, he was one of the top scorers in the league last season. Decent signing. They've made a few others as well that are quite good. I think they'll do better than last season. So I think around mid-table's fair for Tranmere next season.
Perfect. I've gone with Newport County. Again, Newport often a team who are knocking on the door for, used to be a team knocking on the door for promotion every season, I feel like. But I feel like they've kind of turned into a mid-table team at the moment, unfortunately. And I think that's going to be the case again. I think they'll finish top of the bottom half teams, basically. I think they'll do all right, be a fine season, but I'm not expecting too much special from them. I think mid-table.
Yep. 12th, I've put Warsaw. I mean, do you put them going down?
I have put them going down. Yeah, a bit of a controversial one for me. I hope I'm wrong in a way. I just when I was looking at the table, I really struggled for a team who I think are going to go down. But I think
it is tough to decide that second place going down. But I think Walsall, they've signed Danny Johnson, who was there for the first half of the last season. He scored a lot of goals for them, to be fair. Might not be the same this season because they're under different management and stuff. They've also got Jamil Matt now as well, who's also a League Two veteran. Does very well in League Two normally, Jamil Matt. So decent front two. Around mid-table, I think, for Walsall.
So mid-table for me, I've gone a bit controversial in 12th. Salford City. Really? I don't think many people will be expecting this in terms of they got to the playoffs last season finally as well. They've been pushing for the playoffs for a while. Yeah. I just think it's a better quality of League Two this year. And I think Salford, for that reason, are going to struggle a little bit. I think that obviously, I do think Salford have got a decent team for League Two. Again, they've always been up there, but for some reason, I think they'll have a good start. But I just think they'll be one of them who just end pretty badly.
I can see that definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
They've got a good squad for the league though. Salford.
They do. That's why I think it might be a bit of a risk doing this. They could easily go up automatically. They could easily go up for the playoffs. It all depends. But I'm going to play it a bit safe and go 12th. I think that's a bit of a risky one, but obviously, we'll see how it goes. What about 11th?
Barrow 11th, I think. I really like Pete Wild as a manager. I think his quality. I think 11th for Barrow fans is quite good, I'd say, to be fair. They've come up recently from the National League. They're not a well-supported club, but they've got a lot of money around them, I think. They tend to do quite well. And Pete Wild, I think, is destined for big things in his career. So, 11th, yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, I think my judgment at Barrow, again, I do feel quite bad for putting them as low as I have, and I hope they prove me wrong. I think last season they were fantastic, especially their home form seemed to be quite good. So, and again, I think I do agree with you on the manager. I think he's got quite a lot of potential. So obviously we'll have to see whether I've gone AFC Wimbledon in 11th. I know you touched on them earlier on, and I do agree with what you said about the manager. I just think Wimbledon, they seem to have a bit of a better summer this year. There's a bit more optimism around them. They've had that one season now in League One, obviously, when they've in League Two, last season, where they kind of transitioned into the league and didn't do so well. I'm expecting better this time round, but I'm not thinking they're going to do anything special. I don't think they'll get playoffs, but I think they'll be maybe in the mix quite a lot of the season. I'm going to say 11th.
Cool. I agree with that. So 10th, I've put Salford. Similar to 12th, pretty much. I think they've got a good squad for the league. Some great players in there as well, young players that have got a lot of potential as well, like Elliot Watt. He got most assists last season, I think, didn't he, in the league?
Yeah, you had a good season there.
Luke Bolton as well is also a good player. And they've also got Matt Smith up top. Decent squad, but I think, as you said earlier, the League Two has got a lot stronger. And the teams that were around him last season have also got stronger as well. So I think about 10th is fair for him for next season.
Yeah, 10th for me, Crewe Alexandra. I think a bit similar to why I had AFC Wimbledon up there. They've had that season to transition now. I don't think they're looking in as good a position, but I do think Crewe are going to do all right this season for some reason. I think they might be a team who maybe don't start too well, but they have a good second half of the season sort of thing. And I can see them pushing up the table, and I'm going to say they'll finish 10th in the top half this season.
Okay. Interesting call.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird one because, again, a lot of people I've seen haven't been having them this high. They're having them more to the 15th sort of range, 15th, 18th. So might be a bit of a controversial one. But we're moving into the top 9 now. And we're getting close to the playoff places.
Yeah. So I put Grimsby Town at 9th. I think they've improved as a squad from last season. I think they showed last season in the FA Cup run and a decent League Two season. They are capable of doing good things as a club. And as a team as well, they've kept the core of the team. Paul Hurst is a decent manager to have. I think they'll just miss out on playoffs, though.
Yeah, I've gone Swindon Town in 9th, me. I know you've had them a bit lower down. I think Swindon are they're a good club, Swindon. Again, I think they were in the playoffs in League Two a couple of seasons ago, weren't they? I think it might have been with Port Vale, if I remember correctly. And I think they lost out there. But I think that I do like Swindon. I think they've got good things going for them. They're not quite managing to get out of League Two. They're kind of stuck at the moment in a bit of a rut in League Two, I guess. And I think they're going to have a better season. But I think 9th place for me, I don't think they'll quite make playoffs.
Right. Yeah. Fair call.
Just missing out on the playoffs in 8th then. This is where it gets the heartbreaking stage.
I've put Bradford City in 8th.
Oh.
We'll just miss out on playoffs. I think, as I said earlier, we have kind of declined. I don't know, it's tough to call, but we had loan players last season, Critchlow, Scott Banks, who have both left now, gone back to the parent clubs. Or Critch has gone to Peterborough. But we haven't really replaced him. We've gone to 5 at the back. It hasn't been a great pre-season. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm not too optimistic about next season for us.
Okay, I've actually gone controversial, and I've gone Stockport County in 8th. Wow. Now, this is a call, and I just think, I know last season they were fantastic. They came up. I love the manager as well. It's still David Challoner, right, isn't it? He's the manager, I believe. Yeah, I think he's a fantastic manager, Challoner, and I think that the job he's done there has been brilliant. But I just feel like, I don't know, I've just got a feeling that the playoffs are going to be so tight, and I just think they're going to drop out. I might be completely wrong. They could even win the league, Stockport, to be honest. A lot of people I've seen have had them to be in the top 3. This is a bit of a call, but I guess I want it to be a bit different in a way. Try something a bit unique. You never know. You never know with Stockport.
No,
I think that they're obviously they did very well last season, but again, I'm expecting the playoff places to be strong this year. The 2 teams that come up from the National League are going to be very strong. We've not said them yet, so that's a bit of a spoiler for how high they're going to be. And I think that with Stockport, I just think that maybe this season it's going to be a bit different, and I think that playoff place is going to be tight, and I'm narrowly having them to miss out.
Interesting call. I think they'll do better, but I like it though. Being different.
Playoffs for you then, Adam. First place in the playoffs.
Mansfield Town 7th. I think they'll have a better season than last season. I'm always in and around the playoffs anyway. I mean, they just missed out last season. But I think they're strengthened as a squad. They've got more experience in. Nigel Clough as their manager. I like him. I like the Clough family anyway. So, but I think they'll do quite well next season.
Gillingham for me, interestingly. Right. I think Gillingham had a very disappointing season last year, but bad circumstances around the club. I'm going to say Gillingham 7th. I think they'll just get into the playoffs. Don't think they'll go up from the playoffs personally, but I'm going to say Gillingham 7th for me. I think they'll much improve on last season, and I think they'll get 7th spot, so they're the final spot of the playoffs.
Yeah. So for 6th, I've put MK Dons. They'll do the best out of teams coming down last season. I think they've still got the money around them. You've seen that by the players they've signed as well. I think is it Graham Alexander at MK Dons, I think, as well.
I think it is now. Yeah, they had in the season before when they nearly went up from League One, they had the Manning, didn't they? Liam Manning, I think
that was the manager. Yeah, in the team was great round then, wasn't it? They'll have money from selling like Scotch wine and the other players that they sold as well. So I think they'll do respectably well. 6th is fair, I think, for MK Dons next season.
Yeah, I can't believe they went down from how good they were the season before.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Shock that they went down. But that's the way it works, though, isn't it? You have that one season and then it can all go wrong. I think that
they lost all the key players.
They did.
And obviously that's why they were down there. But,
yeah. I'm going to go with Notts County in 6th. I think they're going to have a fantastic season. First one back in League 2. They've got a lot of momentum. They ended on, 100 and some points last year and finished second and had to go through the playoffs. Yeah, so happy they came up just for that reason, really. It would have been heartbreaking.
I think everyone was, weren't they? Yeah.
They were so close. That penalty miss against Wrexham as well, which they could have got them automatically promoted. Yeah. It's amazing, really, what Notts County did, and I think the momentum's going to take them very, very far. So 6th for me. I'm going with Notts County.
Right. Okay. 5th, I've put Doncaster. I think with Grant McCann is a great appointment in League 2. He's a fantastic manager, I think, Grant McCann. Some decent signings. Richard Wood from Rotherham. I know he's 38, but he's still a great player to have. They'll do a lot better than last season. It was a disappointing season for him last season. But I think Doncaster in 5th next season.
I've actually gone Bradford City in 5th. And I think, again, I understand what you said about the maybe not being as optimistic as a City fan this year. Yeah. I personally think, though, Bradford are going to have enough to get into the playoffs. I think that, again, the atmospheres at home games will play a big part as well. Andy Cook, obviously, top scorer last season. I do still think there's enough quality in the team Bradford have got to go. I think it's been obviously a weird one. Bradford last season getting in the playoffs obviously was fantastic. Very unfortunate not to miss out in the end, like every team is who gets in the playoffs. But I just think City will get there again this season. I think that it's going to be one of them where I think home games. I know you mentioned your home form wasn't as good last season, but I think that obviously with how big a club Bradford are, I think they'll always be up there in League 2. And I think I'm going to go 5th place and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, thanks. But Yeah, I'm not too sure. We'll see. I hope you're right. Well, I hope we get top 3, to be honest, and get out of League Two. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you're right.
And 4th spot for you, final playoff place.
I have put Wrexham in 4th place for me. I think there's a lot of hype around Wrexham for a lot of reasons, to be fair. But I think, 4th's still amazing for a team coming up from the National League, do you know what I mean? But I don't think they'll go up as easily as I think that they will. I think they could win the playoffs, though, because of the strength of the team is ridiculous for League Two still. Even National League, it was stupid. But yeah, I think 4th place for Wrexham for me.
Yeah, I've gone Doncaster Rovers for pretty much the same reason that you did. The manager, Grant McCann, I think absolutely fantastic manager in this level, especially in League Two. I think Doncaster, it's kind of a weird one because I remember Doncaster, they were like kind of up there one season and Darren Moore left and then all of a sudden they literally plummeted so far. They literally went all relegated the following season. Yeah. It's been a difficult few years for Doncaster, to be honest. They've really struggled the last few years generally. I think this season's going to be different. I think they're going to be up there this season. I'm going 4th place, but narrowly missing out on automatics though. But they've got a great chance of winning the playoffs. But my personal playoff winners I've gone for is actually Notts County. But that may be a bit of a hot take. But it could be anyone out of the 4 teams.
See that, to be fair.
But it's going to be a very interesting playoffs this season.
It will be. Yeah, it definitely will be. So start of the automatics, 3rd place, I've put Gillingham. Maybe a little bit higher than people were expecting. But I think the money they got behind them now is apparently ridiculous. They're outbidding like City teams like that. Do you know what I mean? Neil Harris as well, as manager, is a decent one to have. And the squad as a whole is a good squad. I think they go in places as a club. So 3rd next season, for Gillingham.
3rd for me, Mansfield Town. I think Mansfield are a club who've been knocking on that door for so long. Mansfield, very unlucky not to go up, not last season, the season before. I think Mansfield's about time they go back up to League One, personally. I really like Mansfield, got a really good stadium, a good club. I think they're always a good side to watch in League Two as well. So I'm going to go 3rd for Mansfield. I think they will get the automatics, personally.
Right, we'll definitely take that. So 2nd place, I've put Notts County in 2nd place. I think they'll do better than Wrexham, I think, now. So I think they've recruited better than Wrexham have in the summer. They've got a front 2 of McGoldrick and Langstaff. It's ridiculous. Langstaff, obviously, it's his first season in League Two in the EFL. But is it 40-something goals he scored last season? I think he's going to score goals this season. McGoldrick come down from League One and scored 21 goals or whatever in League One last season for Derby. Stupidly good to have in League Two. So I think just that front 2 alone could probably take him into automatics. And then the squad around him and behind the front 2 is also a very strong squad. So I think they'll do well.
Yeah, I've gone 2nd MK Dons. I think they'll kind of get over the disappointment of last season. And I think MK Dons will think to themselves, just regroup. Last season was a little bit of a write-off due to many circumstances. So, I'm going to go MK Dons 2nd. I think they'll bounce back at the first time of asking.
Right. So, top spot, I've put Stockport.
Oh,
you put out outside of the playoffs, controversially.
I put 8th, yeah. Put them top spot and the team's not going, but not in the playoffs. I think they were
so unlucky last year to miss out on top 3. They haven't lost any of the big players. They've signed Nick Powell as well. If they keep him fit, he's the best player in League Two. He's a great championship player anyway, Nick Powell. But if you keep him fit, he's going to be the best player in League Two. I think Dave Challoner, great manager to have as well. He's done well at Hartlepool and then did well in his second year at Stockport, last year as well. So I think they were, I'll go a few better next year with a title for me, Stockport.
Yeah, to be fair, that easily could happen. A lot of people have had them in the top 3, like I said, and I think even putting them top spot doesn't feel too unrealistic. They were so good last season, and I was surprised they lost in the playoff final, personally. I thought they were, Carlisle obviously had a very good season, to be fair to them, and took advantage of it. But top spot for me, Wrexham. Again, little bit of a hot take. Again, you obviously mentioned about they're not going to find it as easy. I'm not saying they're going to win the league, like absolutely dominate it. I don't think that's the case, but there's such a feel-good factor around the club right now at Wrexham. I think, to be fair, as much attention as they're getting might be a bit controversial. I think the way they're doing things has actually been really good, personally.
Oh, no, it is.
And I think that I actually really do like the way they're doing things. So I just think they're going to take the momentum into this season. And I just got a feeling they're going to do it. Ben Foster in goal still as well, I believe.
Yeah, I know. Paul Mullin up top.
Paul Mullin up top. I think all these players they've got with experience. Paul Mullin obviously got promoted with Cambridge a few years ago, I think, as well. So
top scorer as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Wrexham to do it. Not going to say it's going to be easy, but I'm going to say Wrexham to win the league. I think that's so. My top three: Wrexham, MK Dons, Mansfield, and then bottom two, unfortunately, Walsall and Crawley.
Yeah, well, I think Wrexham doing it's a fair shout, and you can see him doing it, can't you?
Yeah,
but I think I really thought this summer they'd spend more money and get more players in, but they've signed one player so far, and then Ben Foster as well. I know they're linked with James Norwood to replace Mullin if he's injured for a long time, and that would be a ridiculous signing for League Two. But they have got the money there if they want to spend. Phil Parkinson's a decent manager to have in League Two, so yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go for that. But any picks on top score, Adam? And not Andy Cook again, maybe?
Andy Cook, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, again, at this level, Andy Cook is a fantastic striker. So I think that, really does score. So how many goals did he end on last season again? It was quite a lot, wasn't it?
28 in the league, but 31 in all competitions.
Yeah, fantastic. I even watched him in the League Cup as well against Hull City, I believe it was, when he was scoring the goals there.
Yeah.
And certainly got an eye for goal, Andy Cook, that's for sure, at this level. So,
I mean, Mark Hughes has made him into a great striker. He was anyway a great striker, but Mark Hughes has just taken to the next level.
Absolutely agree, 100% agree with that. But well, that's pretty much all we've got here on our League Two predictions 23-24. We can revisit these at the end of the season. They're probably going to be wrong, let's be honest. But it's always good to revisit them at the end of the season. It's like a lottery predicting League Two. You just never know what's going to happen.
It's great to laugh at towards the end of the season. So
it is, when you look at where you had teams, some of them are going down, or some of them are doing this. And I mean, I would never have had Carlisle to go up last season with all due respect to Carlisle. So, it's all these things that happen. But that's the end of our League Two predictions. I hope everyone who's watching has enjoyed, and we'll see how the League Two season progresses this season.
We will. Cheers.